Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a special weekly guided practice routine. This is routine number 149. Why is 149 a special one? It's not by numbers particularly, but of course, next week is my 150th practice routine. So I'm going to do something a little bit special for this. This particular practice routine is going to be public on YouTube, and I am running a special promo where the next 500 people, it's a big number, giving away a lot here, and the next 500 people to click on the to scan the QR code or click on the link in the description, I'm giving away a completely free month of my weekly guided practice routine tier over on Patreon. So take full advantage of that. Jump on it right now. It will get you immediate access to over 75 hours of guided practice routines just like this one, along with ear training videos and all of my transcriptions that I upload to Patreon, and just knowing that you are being part of a really cool online community that has been working on getting better at the guitar for years in the making now. So tons and tons of free content for you to enjoy that wouldn't normally be free, saving of $20. And of course, I guess it lines up with the Cyber Monday thing. But yeah, so that means that if you sign up this week, or if you join us for free this week, next week you can be here for our big 150 practice routine bonanza. It's not going to be particularly special, but it's going to be fun. So what were we looking at last week? Well, last week we started taking a look at Bach's 15 two-part inventions, and we looked at the right-hand part of the first practice routine. We looked at the right-hand part of the first invention, which is in C major, and we got to the end of that. We practiced each section of the piece in a looping fashion to make sure that we really had the fingerings down. So this week we are going to move over to more of a speed training exercise on that same invention, on the same right-hand part. And what I've introduced now on the backing track is in the when you're playing along, the left-hand part will be played there too. So this could present a slight challenge for you, and that challenge comes in the fact of you having to focus on the thing that you're doing. You don't want to be put off by hearing somebody else play a part, right? You don't want to be put off by that second guitar part. And I know it seems like an obvious thing to point out, but some people will absolutely be put off by that. In the long run, you should be learning and understanding that when you are playing something like this, you're not playing in spite of that second part, you're playing with that second part. It's about how these two parts interconnect with each other. There's proper counterpoint happening here. There's question and answer phrases, and the way the two lines interact with each other is a big part of the style. So I think practicing with that second part there is a great use of your time. So what we're going to start out with today is I'm going to jump over to Guitar Pro, and I'm just going to show you how to go about setting up speed trainer loops yourself in Guitar Pro, so you can use the Guitar Pro file, because of course every one of these routines has a Guitar Pro file and a PDF and backing tracks where appropriate. So let's take a look at that. So before walking you through the speed training exercises, I just thought it was important to show you the interface in Guitar Pro so you can go about doing this yourself, creating up whatever custom speed trainer loops you need as part of your own practice routines. So when you open up the Guitar Pro file as I provide it, you'll notice, of course, there's no notation. If you do want to include the notation for whatever reason, we want to come up into this top panel in the right here. This is going to bring up our inspector window over here on the far right. Sorry, I was saying right here. Obviously, this is top left. We're going to bring up the inspector window on the far right, and make sure you come over to track, and you'll see musical notation, and under notation you can see tab is selected, but if you select notation, you'll get notation as well. So if you have a background in reading and you want to focus on the notation, you can do that. You of course could remove the tab if you wanted to and focus on just the notation. That one is totally up to you, but just for keeping things clean on screen, I'm just operating with the tablature here, so I'll get rid of that. Now, the speed trainer functionality in Guitar Pro is an excellent use of your time. What I would recommend is, in fact, I'll do this myself now. I'm going to save this file at 100 BPM for you. So now when you open it, it will be at 100 BPM. And what you'll do is you will highlight the entire piece, and then you'll come up here where you can see this tempo 100% marking. You'll click the drop down arrow just next to that, and you'll come down to custom values at the bottom here. Now this is where we can create a progressive speed trainer. So if you select progressive speed, we want to select the from speed. So in our routine today, we're starting at 50%. We're starting at 50 BPM, but of course I've set the tempo to 100 BPM, so 50% of 100 BPM is 50 BPM, and we're going to go up to 80 BPM in the routine. and by steps of 5% increases. And I set the repeat to 1 times, but if you wanted a longer practice routine, you could set this to 2 times. So now it will increase by increments of 5% every 2 times through the repeat. We'll just go for 1. So when I select this is going to, now when I press play on this will play at 50 BPM, and then when it gets to the end, it will repeat and it will increase by 5%, so move up to 55 BPM. Now, like I say, you can do that for absolutely any tempo that you feel is necessary to your practice routines. And of course, if you want advice on that, just reach out, Patreon messages, YouTube comments. I'm always here to give you pointers on that. So let's get on with the lesson. Okay, so back over at the guitar. For me, this is an exercise in reading more so than anything else, because although I've played this many, many, many times, especially in the last couple of weeks, I haven't really committed this to memory. I have the notation on screen here, and I'm using that as a reference. Now, let me be clear, it's not sight reading. Sight reading would be having a piece of music put in front of you and reading it for the first time, like with no preconceived notion of what it is that you're about to play on the instrument. But for me, I've played this so many times that I'm not reading it, but I'm using the visual stimulus as a reference to allow my brain to not fully have to rely on pure brute force memory. I'm using it more of a guide, more of a prompt. That's just the way I like to do things like this. Now, as I said last week, of course, when we were working on this, we were breaking things up into their constituent sections. With loops, but we're not doing that now. So we're going to play this in one long exercise form. And the challenge here is going to be some of the fingerings can be a little bit tricky. Memory, if you're relying on memory for this thing. Of course, consistency in that picking hand. I want to see that consistent motion when you're working through something like this. But other than that, I don't think it's too challenging. It's not all that long either. It's like 22 bars, I think. Yeah, 22 bars. I do think that the last bar can be a little bit tricky because, as I mentioned last week, when we go, we kind of wanted to slow down there. So let's read that again. We want it to slow down towards the end, but of course, when we're practicing with our backing track, it's not going to do that. So we need to make sure we're playing that in time. Other than that, for me, when I've been working on this during the week, the only part that's causing me a lot of bother, it's big position shifty things. So when we're going, get that note right. That can be a little bit tricky, getting that jump. So you have to spend your time with that. And of course, in the final 2 bars where we go, this is easy. And then we have to go. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different notes on that high E string, covering a span of, 8 frets. So you have to be really, really careful with that, making sure that you get those correct. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play this for you very slowly, just so we can really make sure that we have an understanding of the placement of all of these sections. What I would recommend with this is make sure you are following along to the PDF, because there is an element, like I say, of using something like this as a method of understanding rhythmic notation. Because when we truly understand rhythmic notation, it takes a lot of the stress and pressure off of our learning routine, because we don't rely fully on somebody having to show us everything. You don't fully have to have somebody, you don't need to say to somebody, can you play that first for me? Can you repeat that so I can listen to it and really focus on where I should be playing the notes? We can use our eyes as a little bit more of a kind of backup to add a little bit of strength to our understanding of what it is that we're doing. So when I look at this, of course, it starts on the 2nd 16th note. So I'm not going to start with my downstroke. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I'm counting this at an 8th note feel when I'm playing this slowly. So 3 and 4 and 1. So just that one hand part, it's not too challenging. Like I said, there's definitely moments in there where I'm like, I'm going to mess up this particular fingering. That's really all there is to this one. It's making sure that you are confident in your delivery, but very, very consistent in your execution. So the only other pointer that I would give when you're listening to this, and of course I made this recommendation last week, when you are working on, it's not improvisational, we are playing something that is composed. You want to listen to recordings of it. And what you're going to find when you listen to recordings of this is there is ornamentation. Now, it's a very deliberate decision on my part to not include the ornamentation on the guitar, because I wanted to focus on our timekeeping. And of course, ornamentation is how you embellish a melody with things like, that's an ornamentation. A trill is a way that we ornament a melody. So I believe on this, I don't have the notation to hand. It's somewhere in my studio, but I've moved it. So if I go, yeah, I think there's a trill on the B here. So we go, yeah. Now it's the tiniest little detail, right? But I find that focusing on putting those ornamentations in can really mess with your rhythmic understanding. And I think that, personally, I think that making sure that we can really lock in with the rhythmic aspect of this first, then understand that the ornamentations are things that we're going to add as embellishments once we have everything locked in place. So what I'm going to do now for you is play the routine in its entirety. I believe the routine lasts for 10 minutes. So reasonable length, nice picking challenge for you. So let's do this in its entirety. And just a reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube for free and you are not currently a Patreon member, I am giving away 500 free memberships to my Patreon. So check out the QR code on screen now, or the link in the description, and get one of those free memberships before they are gone. Join us and get access to 75 hours of guided practice routines, along with all of my transcription work that I post up there, ear training videos, and a whole bunch more. And just knowing that you're part of a cool community. Anyway, here's the routine played in its entirety.